Hello, friends, and welcome back to Stories About Entitled People. If you're new here, join our channel. Here we go. Karma strikes again. So, this weekend I was supposed to pick up my mom from my grandparents' place since my dad was out of town, and it's about 100 kilometers away from the city we live in. Mom has a driver's license, but doesn't drive. Since I don't trust my car to leave the city with, I proceeded to take my dad's car that he left at home to go pick up Mom. Since I wouldn't be using my own car for the duration, I decided to give it to my girlfriend to go shopping and such while I was gone. So we wake up Sunday morning, we live together, get in my car, and I drive us to my parents' place to pick up my dad's car. I leave in my dad's car and my girlfriend leaves in mine. I don't even make it out of the city before I get a call from her asking if I could come back because she's been in an accident. I head back since the site of the accident was at the very end of the street we lived on. Once I get there, I find out that once she reached the end of the street, she made a right turn and hit the first two cars parked on the right. Honestly, I didn't know how to contain my laughter. I mean, hitting a parked car? No, two parked cars? That takes skill. So I proceed to talk with the owners of the cars and offer to pay for everything since my girlfriend was at fault. I had no problem going to the police, except for the 3 to 6 hour wait time every time you go to the accidents department, but offered to fill out an amiable form. This is something we have in my country, where if you have an accident, both sides just fill out the form and can be on their way without contacting the police. I live in the capital city and we get lots of accidents on a daily basis. Since it was Sunday, all the insurance places were closed and I couldn't acquire such a form, so I proceeded to let them photograph my insurance, exchange phone numbers, and assured them that we were neighbors, and that tomorrow, Monday, I would contact them with the form to fill it out. All's fine, and I leave for my grandparents' place. On the way there, I contact a friend that works for the insurance company, and he mails me a form along with a reference for a service station that could have their cars repaired in a day. I proceed to call the guys and tell them that I'll be back in a couple of hours with the form, and we'll get everything settled today. To this, one guy says, in his position, he is entitled to go to the police, so he will be waiting for us there should we decide to come. This is where I pull a 180. So I was trying to be a decent human being and repair the damage my girlfriend caused, and this guy wanted to waste 3 to 6 hours of my Sunday because he felt entitled. Fine. At this point, it may be useful to mention that I've studied law to a master's degree. I have the degree, and I've been working in law firms for over 5 years, so I pretty much know the laws better than the cops. Karma starts to kick in. I call the guys on the way back from my grandparents and ask them to grab a copy of the form that needs to be filled out for me as well. These forms have a number order on them, and it's a first-come, first-serve. They tell me they can't since there's only one person. This is bullcrap. I know this for a fact. When you ask for such a form, the cops even ask if the other party is here to get one for them too. Regardless, I get there after they've been waiting for 2 to 3 hours, and they request a form. They had numbers 56 and 57. I had 89. Mind you, each case takes about 20 to 30 minutes. Lazy jerks. So, when their numbers come up, I was just getting my form, and as they enter the office, I also enter and ask the cop, I'm also part of this incident as it was a 3-way accident. Should I not also be here when you talk to the other two parties? The cop proceeds to tell the guys to go to his office and come back when all 3 of us has filled out the report. Guys proceed to wait another 30 minutes for my girlfriend to fill out the report, then we all go in once she's done. Now, we get to the core of the problem. The most incompetent police officer I have ever seen. I'm sure even those among you with no legal background or knowledge will see how pathetic this guy is. People who file reports, the other 2 guys, one of them did not even have a driver's license because it was his mom's car and his girlfriend filed the report. The other guy had a driver's license and filed his report, although the car belonged to his parents. This is relevant since the only people legally allowed to file that report are the owner of the car or the person driving it, which none of these 2 were. Cop finds my girlfriend guilty, as she truly was, and proceeds to fill out the paperwork. I ask him, 1, Officer, do you know the regulations for parking on the street this incident happened on? 2, no. 3, do you not think it's relevant to the case? Now, I don't remember exactly what he said, but it was all gibberish, ending with, you really dislike cops, don't you? To which I answer, I dislike incompetent individuals in any profession. He ends up getting his way since he was the authority in the situation and proceeds to tick off my girlfriend and hands the guys copies of my insurance to get their cars fixed. Small detail I left out, the cop did not take pictures of the damaged cars, as is mandatory by law for any case that comes across his desk. He literally has no evidence an accident ever happened apart from the word of the other two guys. I'm sure that any policeman reading this would have a field day. Cue karma. As soon as I get home, I start to do exactly what society and my profession taught me to. Sue him. I filed a lawsuit on a Monday, got a date in 4 months. Litigation in non-penal cases is very slow in my country. Usual time to finish a lawsuit, 1 to 8 years, depending on how much your lawyer wants to push it. The thing is that she was in fact at fault, and they had just taken me up on my offer and not wasted my time. I would have had their cars fixed by now. But they were entitled. They wanted to go to the police. Fact. Parking regulations on that street, as any other matter of fact, state that cars should be parked parallel to the sidewalk, not on it, not perpendicular, parallel. The street has a few apartment buildings there, nowhere near enough parking for the neighbors, so they made a convention to park perpendicular to the sidewalk to fit more care, taking up a whole lane of traffic, but that's another story. The thing with convention is that it's all fine and dandy till something happens and the police get involved. Then the law states you must take responsibility for what happened. So basically, there's no chance whatsoever that we will lose the lawsuit, and it'll drag out as much as possible. I'm thinking I could get it up to 4 to 5 years, no problem. Now, another kink is a law that states that any item that is under litigation does not produce legal effects. In translation, this means that until the judge gives a verdict to my lawsuit, the ticket is suspended, so the guys will not be able to fix their cars. Not even on their own dime. It's somewhat assimilated to evidence, but at a much lower scale. Also, once the process is over, not only will I not be paying for their repair, they will be paying for mine. My main argument in the lawsuit is a legal concept known as causality link, which applied to my case means, yes, my girlfriend caused an accident, but that accident was caused by you parking your cars illegally. If you would have parked legally, there would have been more room and your car would not have been in that spot, and thus would not have been hit, regardless of my girlfriend's actions. So basically, your action of parking perpendicular caused the damage to my car. And our next story. Don't lie to clerks. They just might be the manager. I run a small charity thrift store. Really, there are only 2 staff members, myself, the general retail manager for the organization, and a part-time clerk. We don't offer a dealer price or courtesy like some stores, even though customers still try. Now, my name tag only has my name, not my title as general manager. This is important to the story. Liar dealer lady. I'm ready to check out. Thrift store Betty. All right, would you like a bag today? No, that's fine. Just so you know, I have a deal with the manager to get the employee pricing on my purchases. Really? I don't have any notes about that. Can you tell me who you made the deal with? Part-time clerk? Charity worker? Neither of them. The manager. I'm sorry, I just don't know anything about that. Don't make me call her and tell her how terrible you're treating me. You know what? I'll give her a call and get this straightened out for you, no problem. Note, I've already picked up the phone and started to dial my own cell phone number. Wait, don't! I answered my own cell phone. This is Thrift Store Betty with Charity Thrift Store. Talking into the store phone. Hi, this is Thrift Store Betty from the thrift store calling. I have LDL here and she says she has a deal worked out with you to get employee pricing. How do I process that? What? No. What? Oh my God! She started to turn bright red and got super huffy and stormed out. I started laughing my butt off. Totally unprofessional, but seriously, don't lie to clerks. You look like a major a-hole. Also, LDL shops here off and on and always tries to get a discount. Always. So this was some petty revenge bullcrap, but worth it. And our next story. Block our driveway? Good luck trying to get out. This happened to my dad a few years back. We live in a crowded urban area, not the US. Parking's usually very hard to find. Our house was one of the few around that had a driveway, and since we had 3 cars, Dad, Mom, and my older sister, parking was never fun. But we always had at least one place to park. There was also a big sign on the garage door saying, "Private garage, no parking," so that people wouldn't accidentally block the driveway. One day, as my dad was leaving to go to work, he found a black Elantra blocking the driveway with its handbrake on. After looking around for 30 minutes for the owner and asking around, he ended up having to take public transportation. He left a note on the windshield saying, "This is the garage of a doctor. "Please do not block the driveway as it may put lives in danger," and was on his way. When he came back that evening, the car was gone and his note was crumpled up on the ground. My dad thought nothing of it, but then this happened 2 more times. Every time my dad would leave a note, and every time the note would be left in a crumpled ball in the car's stead. That was until one day my dad was coming back home and found the same car blocking the driveway. That day was special, however, as my mom was parked right in front of them and my sister was parked right behind them. My dad seized the opportunity. He moved my mom's car so that it would just barely touch the Elantra from the front, and my sister's car so that it would just barely touch them from the back, and he brought his car and parked it parallel to the Elantra so as to block it from the side as well. All 3 cars had their handbrakes on, and there was no way that car was moving an inch. Then, seeing as it was the weekend, my dad decided to stay there, observing, from afar, and wait for the owner. About an hour later, 2 women came walking up to the car, bedazzled by the situation, started asking around for the owner of any one of those cars. No one seems to know. They're stuck there for at least an hour until one of our neighbors comes by and tells them that the owner is right there, gesturing to my dad. They walk up, infuriated at my dad, and yell at him, asking, "Why the hell have you been standing there, leaving 2 women stranded in the street while you saw us trying to get out?" He tells them, "Well, you've been parking in that spot and blocking my car in the driveway for weeks now. And every time I leave you a note, I find it crumpled up on the floor. So I'm not going to let you out." Their defense? "It wasn't me, it was our stupid driver." Well, okay, let the driver get your car out then. He walks away and goes up to our house. To this day, I really don't understand the driver lie, as it's obvious there was no driver in sight, but anyway, I digress. A few minutes later, we get a knock on the door. It's our neighbor from a little ways down the road and an acquaintance of my dad's. Turns out the ladies were his mother-in-law and wife, and the mother-in-law would often come around to visit. For some reason, she decided our driveway was the best place to park. After many arguments between my dad and the neighbor, he finally decides to let them out. To this day, we haven't seen the car parked anywhere near our driveway. Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video to the end, and I'll see you in the next one.